This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Lenovo Yoga 7i. If it looks familiar, that's because it's pretty much like the Lenovo Yoga C740 that preceded it. So this is a not so expensive, but also not so cheap 2-in-1 Windows convertible laptop. So it's a tough space to be in, but I think actually a desirable one because this is significantly under $1,000, and it's a very nice laptop for the price. We're going to look at it now. So the model we have is probably, definitely, in fact, the sweet spot if you're going to be considering this machine. It has a Core i5, 8 gigs of RAM, and a 512 gig SSD, a full HD display, which is your only display option. We'll talk about the display in detail a bit later. And that's $799. So you get a premium aluminum sandblasted chassis. It's available in a kind of grayish, brownish color or the moss green color. And it's a staid looking laptop. You're not buying this for the flashy looks like a Spectre X360 or something like that, but it is built very well. It's nice and rigid and all that sort of thing. So good that for the price. Also for the price you get Thunderbolt 4, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, backward compatible with Thunderbolt 3. It's a slightly faster evolution of Thunderbolt 3. But usually you have to spend $1,000 and up to get Thunderbolt ports again in convertible, so that's good too. It's a touchscreen display since it is a 360-degree hinge convertible, and it also supports the Lenovo Active Pen 2 or any Wacom AES Active Pen. So that's nice to have. That's not in the box. The Active Pen 2 sells for $80. You might find other AES Pen Protocol pens for a little bit less than that, but it's there for you if you want to take notes. Inside we have Intel 11th Gen CPUs, so good that, Ultrabook CPU, quad-core, and Intel Iris Xe graphics, which was one of the bigger improvements for Intel 11th Gen. Xe graphics are a lot faster than the old Intel UHD graphics we saw in Ultrabooks in previous generations. Though oddly here, while the CPU does as well as some Core i7s in the 11th Gen, which means very good performance here, the GPU, the integrated GPU, actually doesn't benchmark as well and perform as well in games, which is kind of odd. Does it have to do something with the power management or what? I don't know what it is. We're not the only ones who've seen this though. So, I mean, Ultrabooks really aren't for gaming per se, but if you were intending to push it hard for something like that, then it might not be your choice. The machine sits above laptops like the Lenovo Flex 5, the Flex line of laptops in terms of quality and appointments, but below the Lenovo Yoga 9i, which basically replaces the C940 series. And that one has a sound bar for those who really like better sound, and also comes in 14 and 15 inches like this one. We are looking at the 14-inch one here. With the 9i, and we will be reviewing that, that one's an interesting one. The 14-inch is an Ultrabook with Ultrabook CPUs, but the 15-inch is much more powerful with H-series processors and pretty good dedicated graphics. So Lenovo has all the lines covered, but that 14-inch 9i, if you're thinking about stepping up for the sound bar and some more creature comforts, that one starts at about $1,200. So with a Core i5, it is more money, isn't it though? Since the chassis is much like the C740, the keyboard is much like it too, which is to say short travel and a little mushy. It's not my favorite keyboard. It's not unusable or anything, but you're not going to buy this for the keyboard. This is no ThinkPad, folks. It's backlit in white. The trackpad on it behaves perfectly well, and it's good. So the display on this is full HD, which is fine for a 14-inch display. Honestly, it's IPS, it's glossy, not ultra glary though, like some HP Spectres are, for example. Again, supports pen and touch, and the pen behaves pretty well on this. I'm using a Lenovo ThinkPad pen, and jittery lines, not so much really. We have pretty good slow diagonal lines, which are usually the most wavery in, is that a word? In digital pens. So it's fine for note-taking and even some hobby art kind of work. This is not the brightest display. It's only rated at 300 nits according to Lenovo. We measured it at 275 nits. So this is definitely, I'm going to use it at home in my not wildly bright home or something like that. If you need to use this outdoors, no, you pick a different laptop, obviously. The color gamut on this is pretty good, though. You've got your basic full sRGB coverage and a little bit better than average on P3 gamut coverage. Contrast on this is pretty decent as well. So other than that, and the color accuracy is good too, other than the fact that it doesn't get that bright, this panel is pretty nice. And like all Lenovo panels are labeled as LEN, short for Lenovo something or other, but this one is made by Bohidus, who makes a lot of laptop displays. This has up-firing speakers surrounding the keyboard deck. Yay, that's always better, less muffled sound. And they're 2-watt speakers, and they're pretty good. Mid-range and high-end, as you would expect for a smaller Ultrabook, is fine. Bass, there's not a whole lot of it. Again, there's the Lenovo soundbar in the 9i, or headphones or external speakers if you're looking for oomfier kind of sound, but it's not bad, honestly. Laptop has your usual, okay, 720p webcam, but it does have a physical privacy switch right there. You slide it and see the little red dot, so it blocks it, so you won't have any accidental whoopsies over Zoom. For security, it has a fingerprint scanner. There is no Windows Hello IR camera. This is an Intel Evo certified laptop. That's Intel's latest marketing name for something with an 11th gen CPU, a good sized battery inside that has quick wake from sleep, and Intel Wi-Fi 6 AX201. So yes, it has Intel Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5 as well. Speaking of that battery, it's a 71 watt hour. Well, that's how you get good battery life then, and you just have a Core i5 Ultrabook CPU and a not very bright full HD display. There's a recipe for good battery life. And doing mixed testing, which means web browsing, some office work, a little photo editing, a little streaming video, with brightness set to 150 nits, we did get 9 to 10 hours. And if you really want to manage your power more aggressively, you could get longer. That's pretty good. And obviously they claim longer run times than that even, and that's usually for streaming video tests, where typically you do get longer battery life versus mixed actual real world use. It has a 65 watt charger. Another requirement is fast charging for Intel Evo certification, so you can top up about 40% of the battery in about 40 minutes or so, if not quicker. That's good as well. In terms of heat and fan noise, really, unless you're really pushing it hard and doing gaming or trying to do 3D rendering, things that are really pushing out of Ultrabook territory there in terms of performance expectations, the keyboard area will get warm but not burning hot, and the underside will get hotter than human body temperature, but not like burning hot, so they manage it well. It has a single fan instead of 2 small fans, and I kind of prefer that because the 2 small fans tend to sound a little bit whiny and hissy, and this one, you'll hear it if you push it hard, but it sounds kind of like a normal laptop fan. But most of the time it's not really roaring or anything like that. The temperature management here is pretty good. To get inside, you just unscrew the Torx T5 screws, and you can use a guitar pick to pry it up or a suction cup to make it a little easier. There are plastic clips, but nothing that hard. Obviously, we have our ventilation over here. That's what the underside looks like. And no surprise, like most all Ultrabooks on the market, RAM is soldered on board. You can get either 8 or 16 gigs of DDR4, 3200 megahertz RAM. You can't upgrade it after the fact, so get the amount that you want. This is our M.2 SSD, so that is upgradable, and there's the slot right there if you want. Ours is a Samsung. And obviously the heatsink right here, and this is a pretty good sized fan, and it does help keep the fan noise not too high-pitched and grating, like I said. And that's our Intel Wi-Fi AX201 card there, Wi-Fi 6. Your backup battery as ever with laptops, and here's the battery, which is quite large. And the up-firing speaker modules, here's the bottom side of them on each side. So that's the Lenovo Yoga 7i. Again, currently $799 on Lenovo's website, and for that, it's a good buy, certainly. The Core i7 gets kind of expensive at around $1,100 or $1,200, so I wouldn't go there as much, but this might not be the most exciting looking laptop you've ever seen, but the quality is here. The build, the durability is nice. And to get Thunderbolt 4 for the price, to get a touchscreen with pen support as well, that's a very competent display, just not a very bright display. It's nice. And you even have a so-called legacy USB-A port, so you're not just completely consigned to dongle hell. It's decent enough for the price, certainly. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.